Welcome to the Monday Meltdown, where every Monday I have the conversations with you guys that I'd usually have with myself in the mirror. And today I want to talk about my relationship with the idea of having kids as a woman. If you've been raised female, you know that having kids is an idea that is subliminally projected on you from day dot. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that, like, in primary school, young girls enjoy role playing, motherhood, families, playing with dolls, like the actual like baby dolls, and the majority of boys aren't really interested in that. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence, and it's got nothing to do with biological sex and everything to do with the things that are kind of like subconsciously projected on you as a child depending on what gender you are. And when I was a little girl, like, oh my god, from like age 5, like, I couldn't wait to be a mom. Like, why was I thinking about that at age 5? Like, looking back now, like, I think that's crazy. Like, obviously, it's innocent enough and absolutely normal and fine for children of any gender to look at their own families and kind of like replicate what they see, like in role play and stuff. So it's completely normal for a child to like mention, oh, I want to be a mummy one day, or I want to be a daddy one day, because they see their own parents and they want to replicate that. But I think with a lot of girls, it's on another level. Like in primary school, 6, 7, 8 years old, at break time, me and my friends would sit in circles and discuss motherhood, or what we thought we knew about motherhood, what our baby names would be. You just didn't get the other 6, 7, 8-year-old boys doing that. Not to that extent, because they don't get given the same messaging. So growing up, probably until the age of like 13, 14, when I then went to secondary school, that was the first time I ever really got the notion that I didn't have to have kids. And up until this point, like, I was happy with the idea that I was going to have kids one day. Like, it wasn't something that ever bothered me. But just through being raised as a little girl, I just kind of saw as fact that, yeah, I'd have kids one day, and that's just what happens, and that's how it goes. That's what everybody does. And the only like outlying situations where someone wouldn't have kids would be a really sad situation. Like, the only situation a woman wouldn't have kids is if she couldn't have kids, but she would still absolutely want to. There was no situation in my mind until I reached 13, 14 and kind of became more educated about it, that a woman wouldn't want to have children. I just thought everybody wanted to have children. That was the purpose of life. You grow up, you get married, you have kids, and you're happy. And I associated all of those 3 things, growing up, having kids, getting married, with happiness. They were like all one in the same. So yeah, as I got a bit older, that was like the first time that I'd ever been introduced to the idea of like, yeah, you don't have to have kids. It's what a lot of people do. But yeah, you don't have to. And the veil started being lifted of like, not only do you not have to have kids, but if you don't want kids like fully, you shouldn't have them. But before that, I was still like very much like, I talked to a friend of mine or something who was like adamant they didn't want children. And at 13, 14, I was very much like a Karen in that situation. Oh God, I hate it now. But I'd go full Karen mode and be like, oh, but you will want children one day. Like, why would you not want children? Like, it was foreign to me. And I'd be like, oh, you will want kids one day. Oh God, I hate it looking back. So cringe. But yeah, in the end, I just came to learn the normal truth. Not everyone wants kids. Not everyone has to have kids. And that's fine. And it seems crazy looking back and like saying it out loud now that that is something that I actually had to learn and discover, rather than that just being like the baseline of my knowledge. But it wasn't. And then, yeah, as I said, as I grew up, I eventually adopted the idea. And then I started to kind of like reflect on my own ideas of like having kids. And I was like, I obviously don't want kids like now, because I'm like 13, 14, 15, 16 in school. But I've always assumed that I'll like have kids in the future. I wonder when it will kind of like switch for me in my brain, because I know at the time I was like, I think I know that I want kids in the future, but now I'm starting to doubt whether that's just because I've been told that I will have kids my whole life, and I think I want kids. But for argument's sake, let's say at the time I was like, I want kids in the future, but I know I don't want them now because I'm like 13, 14. I wonder when the switch will happen where I'm like, I'm ready for kids now. And with all this new information, I was like, oh, what if that doesn't happen? What if I get to late 20s, early 30s? What if I get to that time in my life and the switch just hasn't happened yet? And I wasn't stressed about the idea of that switch not happening, because I was now privy to the information that sometimes people just don't want kids. People are never ready for kids, and that's fine. So I was like, oh, that could potentially be me. I like children. I would potentially want to have them in the future. But until that switch happens where I'm like, I know that I want kids, I won't be having them. And that's the kind of thinking that I adopted from then on. And the older I got, the more I realized that, oh my God, don't bring kids into the world unless you are completely educated and privy to the knowledge of what it actually means to have a kid. Kids don't bring you happiness. They can enhance your life, and it can be some of the happiest, most fulfilling moments of your life, but it doesn't bring you happiness, if that makes sense. If you're not happy, in your relationship with your partner, in your life in general beforehand, having a kid isn't going to solve that. Getting married isn't going to solve that. And the older I got, the more that growing up, getting married and having kids and happiness all kind of started to separate for me. And I realized that everything else in life, yes, those things can bring you happiness and enhance the happiness that you already feel, but it's not going to make you happy. It's not going to force you to be happy. They're not all just one and the same. You can grow up, get married, have kids, and be miserable. You can not do all those things. You can be really happy with it, but it's not a fact of life. And then I got to about 17, 18, 19. And that's when I really started to question whether I wanted children or not. For me personally, I was really struggling with my mental health around that time, because when I was 18, 19, that's when coronavirus hit and the whole COVID pandemic happened, which was a hard time for everyone. But yeah, I was really going through it around that time. And in that time, when I looked into the future, I couldn't really see anything for myself. I just didn't have a picture of it anymore in my mind. So then when it came to thinking, oh, do I still want kids or not in the future? I was like, maybe I don't. And the funny thing is, one of my reasons for it was what if I just don't like my kid? At the time, as I said, I was really struggling mentally. So living with myself in my own head was hard. I found it very hard to truly enjoy my life and truly love myself. And therefore, I found it very hard to love other people to my full capacity. So when it came to thinking about having kids, I was like, what if I just don't like them? And it really solidified the idea for me that I will not be having kids if/until I am fully 100% adamant that I want them. But then looking back, I also think it's crazy that I was still this was even a topic that was on my mind. And again, I think that just speaks a lot to the patriarchy, what women are kind of fed about the ideas of having kids. That for me, when I was in a really, really difficult time, a time where I looked into the future and it was just blank, and fundamentally, I needed all my emotional and physical energy to be focused on the now. I didn't have time to think about the past. I didn't have the time really to be thinking about the future. I needed to channel all my energy into living in the now and surviving and getting through. Yet still, in that dark moment, I was still using some of the little energy that I had to worry and contemplate whether I'd be having kids or not in the future. That is mad to me. Like, why was that still something that was playing on my mind? And then eventually, by age like 21, I was coming out the other end of this dark period of my life. I had triumphed. And as cringe as it sounds, I decided that my future was limitless. It could look like anything I wanted it to be. And it can also change. It can look like one thing one day and a completely different thing the next. And that would be completely fine. And I stopped worrying about it. My experience of going through that difficult time had really taught me that you've just got to push through, and things will just sort themselves out in the end. Time really can be the biggest healer. And what will be, and everything will work out in the end. So I just stopped worrying about it. And also around this time, this is when I met my now boyfriend, a true gift sent from the heavens. And we're just like so happy together, like truly, like he's my best friend. And for me, the whole thing with kids just naturally kind of clicked then. I was like, I should have never been considering and thinking about this from such a young age. This should have never been a drama in my mind, because when you eventually meet a partner, you naturally just start romanticizing and thinking about what your future together is going to look like. That is only natural. And once you have said partner, like in front of you, it all becomes clear. You will know, oh my God, I do want kids with this person specifically. Or you might think, oh, you know what? I love this person and I want us to spend the rest of our lives together. And I don't see kids being part of that picture. And that's fine and that's amazing, because we're going to do all this other stuff together. And it'll become clear because the person that you want to spend your future with is standing in front of you. And just through being together and those conversations together, you will create a really strong picture together of what you want your future to look like together. And that might be similar to things that you've thought about before. It might be completely different. And with me and my partner, we're like, you know what? Sometime in the future, far in the future currently, like late 20s, early 30s, we probably will have a kid, all being well, because that's what we want to do together with each other. And how I would describe it to people now is that, like, actually, looking back, I've never been an overly maternal person. I just haven't. And all my, oh my God, yeah, I can't wait to have kids in the future has, I think, very much come from social messaging towards young women and young girls. I've always liked kids. I've always been a big kid myself. I'm a kind person. I'm a loving person, but I'm not overly maternal. I've never been one of those people who is just like, oh my God, I want to be a mom. Some people do, despite the patriarchy and anything else. Some people are really maternal and can't wait to be a mom. And that is also so fine. That's just not been my experience, looking back and reevaluating. And as far as that goes, that's currently where I'm at. I'm just personally glad that my relationship with the idea of having children is just a lot more healthy now than it used to be. And I personally, as a woman, no longer feel that pressure to have children to be fulfilled. So yeah, please let me know what you think about this one down in the comments below. I would particularly love to hear about other women or other people who were raised female, about what you guys think, about your experiences with that social messaging towards women and that pressure. And if you've had a similar experience, or maybe you've had a completely opposite experience, let's talk about it. I'm really interested to know. But thank you for coming for the meltdown this week. I hope you enjoyed. I've been drinking a glass of tepid water for this meltdown. Ran out of Cokes in the fridge, which is what I would usually have. I need to get one after this. I'm absolutely flagging. I'm shattered. I need a boost of energy. Let me know what drink you've been having for the meltdown this week down in the comments below. I hope it's more interesting than mine. Also, let me know about any future topics you'd like me to discuss in future meltdowns. And if you are going to stick around, then I will see you next week for another meltdown. Bye!